"Excuse me. Hey, you in the blue shirt. Can you help me find the almond milk?" That voice, shrill enough to curdle the very milk I was trying to buy, instantly had me clenching my jaw. My body was screaming from a brutal 14-hour retail shift, and my brain was running on fumes and the promise of cereal. I was deep in the dairy aisle, half squinting at labels, trying to decide if I even had the energy to pour milk, let alone locate almond milk for some entitled stranger. I knew that voice. Oh, I knew it. My head slowly swiveled, and there she was, Karen, in all her meticulously coiffed, indignant glory. Her eyes, narrowed like tiny laser pointers, were fixed on me, and yeah, I was wearing a blue t-shirt. And dark pants. Just like half the population. "Just a sec," I mumbled, not even looking at her directly. My focus was on Mrs. Henderson, a sweet, elderly woman who was struggling to read the ingredients on a yogurt carton. I'd seen her fumbling a minute ago and, despite my utter exhaustion, offered to help. It was a reflex, a habit ingrained from years of customer service, even when I was off the clock. "Oh, Mr. Jace, you're so kind," Mrs. Henderson said, her voice a gentle flutter. "My eyes just aren't what they used to be. Is this the one without all the added sugar?" "Let's see here, Mrs. Henderson," I said, leaning in, trying to block out the rising tide of Karen's impatience. "Yep, this one looks good. Plain, no artificial sweeteners." "No, not just a sec." Karen's voice ratcheted up a notch, now slicing through the low hum of the refrigerators. "I need help now. This is important. My daughter is gluten-free and dairy-free, and I need that almond milk. Do you know how hard it is to cater to her needs?" I finally turned to face her, trying to maintain some semblance of a polite yet dead-inside customer service smile. "Karen, I'd really love to help, but I'm actually helping Mrs. Henderson right now. Perhaps you could ask an actual employee? They usually wear vests or uniforms." I gestured vaguely towards the front of the store, hoping she'd take the hint and wander off. My stomach was starting to knot. I could feel the residual stress of the day morphing into fresh irritation. Karen took a step closer, her perfectly manicured hand planted firmly on her hip. "Oh, don't be ridiculous. You're clearly an employee. You're helping her, aren't you? And you're wearing a blue shirt just like the rest of them. Stop trying to shirk your duties and come help me." Her gaze swept over Mrs. Henderson with thinly veiled disdain, as if the old woman was simply an inconvenient obstacle in her path. My smile faltered, replaced by a weary sigh. "Karen, for the third time, I don't work here. I just finished a 14-hour shift at my job. I'm a customer, just like you. I'm simply trying to be a decent human being and help Mrs. Henderson." My voice was low, but edged with a frustration that was becoming harder to mask. My eyelids felt heavy, like they had tiny weights pulling them down. "A decent human being?" she scoffed, a little too loudly. A few other shoppers in the aisle were starting to eye us. "You call this decent? You're being incredibly rude and unhelpful. I'm a paying customer, and I expect service. You look like you work here? You act like you work here, so just do your job." Her voice was now loud enough that the milk cartons probably felt the vibrations. Mrs. Henderson, bless her heart, looked mortified. She gripped my arm gently. "Oh dear, I'm so sorry, Jace," she whispered. "Perhaps I can just find it myself." "Nonsense, Mrs. Henderson," I said, patting her hand, my gaze still fixed on Karen. A vein was throbbing in my temple. The sheer audacity of this woman, not just insisting I worked here, but then accusing me of being rude for helping someone else while exhausted. "I'm not letting this person chase you off." Karen gasped dramatically. "This person? How dare you? I'm going to report you. You'll be fired. I know the manager here." She pulled out her phone, brandishing it like a weapon. "What's your name? What's your employee ID?" Just as I was about to either burst out laughing or start crying from pure exhaustion, a calm, firm voice cut through the rising tension. "Everything all right here, folks?" It was Mark, the store manager. A good guy, usually cool as a cucumber, and he'd definitely seen me enough times to know I was just a regular tired customer. He walked towards us with that practiced, placating smile that managers wear when diffusing a potential incident. "No, everything is not all right, Mark. Karen shrieked, instantly abandoning her phone and turning her full fury on him. This employee is refusing to help me. He's being incredibly rude, and he's talking down to me. I demand you do something about him immediately. Mark looked at me, then at Karen, then at Mrs. Henderson, who was now practically hiding behind me. His placating smile tightened just a fraction. Karen, I know Jace. Jace doesn't work here. He's a customer just like you. Don't be ridiculous. He's wearing a blue shirt. He was helping that old woman. He has to work here. Her voice was reaching a fever pitch now, echoing off the high ceilings. Every single person in the dairy aisle and probably some from frozen foods was now staring. Mark's voice lost its placating edge, becoming sharper, firmer. Karen, I understand you're frustrated, but Jace is not an employee. He's here on his own time, buying groceries. And from what I just heard, he was being kind enough to help another customer. Your behavior, however, is causing a disturbance. I'm going to have to ask you to either calm down and find an actual employee or leave the store. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Her face, which had been contorted in rage, now cycled through disbelief, offense, and finally a sort of sputtering indignation. You're taking his side? Over a paying customer? I spend hundreds of dollars here. This is outrageous. I'm never shopping here again. She dramatically pointed a finger at me, then at Mark, then at the innocent milk cartons, before huffing loudly, whirling around and storming off down the aisle, her angry power walk carrying her rapidly out of sight. Silence descended, broken only by the gentle hum of the refrigerators. Mrs. Henderson let out a shaky breath. Oh dear, I am so terribly sorry, Jace. I never meant to cause such trouble. I gave her a tired but genuine smile. Don't you dare apologize, Mrs. Henderson. You didn't do anything wrong. Some people just... I trailed off, shaking my head. Mark clapped me on the shoulder, a genuine relieved smile now on his face. Thanks, Jace. You handled that like a pro? Almost makes me want to hire you. Thanks, Mark. I chuckled, the tension finally draining from my shoulders, leaving only the exhaustion behind. But I think my retail days are best kept to my actual job. I picked up my chosen carton of milk, feeling lighter now that the storm had passed. As I walked out into the cool night air, the whole bizarre encounter replayed in my head. Another day, another Karen. But also a reminder that even when you're dead on your feet and just trying to buy milk, a little bit of kindness can accidentally ignite a full-blown inferno, and sometimes you just gotta stand your ground. Even if it means going an extra round when your shift was supposed to be over. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm off to finally get some sleep and eat some cereal, hopefully in peace.
Hey, real quick before the next one, if you're enjoying this, subscribing helps a lot. All right, story number 3 coming up.
You know, I never thought my black belt, earned over 2 decades of blood, sweat, and a lot of bowing, would ever come in handy at a Walmart. But there I was, a grown man's arm twisted behind his back in a textbook hammerlock, calmly calling 911, while half the soda aisle stared in stunned silence. Yeah, that's right. Me, Dorothy, the 49-year-old, 5-foot-tall owner of a modest sporting goods store, just trying to grab some Diet Mountain Dew for my employees. Sometimes life just throws you a curveball, or in my case, a belligerent customer who thinks I work for minimum wage at a big box store, despite my very obvious not an employee attire. It all started as a perfectly normal Tuesday. A quick run to Walmart for the team's weekly soda and chip haul. My crew works hard, and a little sugary caffeine and salty crunch keeps morale high. I was humming along, pushing my cart, when my peripheral vision caught a guy, maybe mid-30s, who seemed a little too interested in my trajectory. You get a sixth sense for that stuff after years in retail, the difference between someone lost and someone watching. I shrugged it off. Probably just looking for an item on the same aisle. Then he popped up again, in housewares. And again near the seasonal display. My hackles started to rise. I sped up a little, tried to lose him around a stack of oversized plush toys, but he was persistent. Finally, as I rounded the corner into the beverage aisle, he just appeared in front of me. Kevin, as I'd later learn, had an incredibly aggressive way of simply existing. "Excuse me, you," he barked, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. He was glaring at me, arms crossed. "I need your help, now." My internal retail owner voice kicked in. "De-escalate. Don't engage with crazy." I tried a gentle approach. "Oh, I'm sorry, do you have a question about my sporting goods store?" "I don't actually work here." I even gestured vaguely to my plain t-shirt and jeans, a far cry from any blue vest. That did not help. His face twisted. "Don't play dumb with me. Where's the Diet Mountain Dew? You've been leading me on a wild goose chase for 10 minutes. He was practically spitting the words. I blinked. "Leading you on a..." "Sir, I'm just shopping. And for Diet Mountain Dew, you'd probably want to ask an actual Walmart employee. Or check the app. Sometimes it's back-ordered, you know?" He scoffed, taking a menacing step closer. I subconsciously shifted my weight, my stance adjusting ever so slightly, a tiny tremor of adrenaline starting to hum. "I know you work here. Stop being so useless and tell me where it is." He was practically in my personal space now, his breath hot, his eyes narrowed. "Sir, you need to step back," I said, my voice firmer than I'd intended, but years of teaching martial arts had ingrained a certain command. "Keep your distance." He actually laughed, a sneering sound that grated on my nerves. "Oh, you want to play tough, huh?" And then, before I could react, he reached out, a meaty hand gripping my shoulder, attempting to physically turn me around. "You're coming with me." That was it. That was the moment Dorothy, the mild-mannered store owner, the community volunteer, evaporated. My body just moved. 20 years of training kicked in with the swift, unforgiving precision of muscle memory. His grip was loose, clumsy. My left hand shot up, hooking his wrist, twisting it sharply as I stepped in, pivoted, and used his own momentum against him. There was a grunt, a flash of surprise in his eyes, and then he was bent over, his arm locked in a secure hammerlock behind his back. It wasn't about hurting him, it was about control, about compliance. "This is Dorothy. I have a 10 to 54. A male physically assaulted me in the beverage aisle. He is currently subdued. I need officers immediately," I stated into my phone, my voice calm, almost clinical, as I kept Kevin firmly in place. He was squawking, yelling about how I was assaulting him, how he'd have my job. Oh, the irony. It felt like forever, but it was probably only a few minutes before the sirens wailed. 2 officers walked up, and one of them, Officer Davies, immediately did a double take. He's a regular at my store, buys fishing gear. He looked at me, then at Kevin, then back at me, a single eyebrow raised as if to say, "Really, Dorothy? You had to put someone in a hammerlock in Walmart." He clearly didn't believe Kevin's frantic accusations for a second. They had to briefly detain me, of course, protocol and all that, but once they reviewed the security footage, which clearly showed Kevin initiating the contact, everything changed. I declined to press assault charges. Frankly, I just wanted to go home and forget his face. But Kevin wasn't done. Oh no, the man went on a rampage online. He left scathing reviews for my sporting goods store, accusing me and my hateful employees of being terrible people, of being bullies. He even tried to sue me for libel and defamation, claiming I'd slandered him to the police. The sheer audacity that actually went to court, and guess what? The security footage from Walmart came in very handy again. Kevin lost, spectacularly. The whole thing was a headache, but I'm not one to be deterred. Life throws punches. You learn to block, pivot, and, if necessary, put the aggressor in a hammerlock. The silver lining? Officer Davies was so impressed, he signed up his daughter for my martial arts classes. As for Kevin? Well, his online harassment continued, escalating to some real-world threats and even minor damage to my storefront window. That's when the police did step in properly, and he was arrested for harassment and vandalism. My store got a new window. My reputation, if anything, only improved, and my black belt feels a little more justified. You can bet I still run my dojo and my store with pride. Sometimes you just gotta know when to grab the soda and when to grab the wrist.
I swear, some people wake up looking for a fight. I was just trying to enjoy my lukewarm coffee, pretending to browse the self-help aisle, the one with all the obscure books no one ever actually buys, when the shrill, insistent tone started drilling into my skull. Not full-on banshee wails, but that sharp, entitled edge that immediately puts your teeth on edge. Unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. My head perked up. And yeah, there she was. A woman I'm calling Karen, already mid-rant at the sole open register. Steve, the cashier, a kid who probably hadn't been old enough to shave last year, looked like he was internally screaming. He was doing his best customer service smile, but I could see the sweat forming on his brow even from across the store. Karen was practically vibrating with indignation, holding up a box of what looked like perfectly fine artisanal crackers. Look at this, it's squished. How am I supposed to serve these to my guests? Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Steve, bless his heart, tried. Ma'am, I'm really sorry about that. It looks like it might have just gotten a little dinged on the shelf. I can grab you another box, or we can take that one off your bill right now. But Karen wasn't having it. Her voice ratcheted up a notch. Another box? What good is another box when this one is clearly indicative of the poor quality control in this establishment? I expect better. I expect perfection. Get me your manager right now. Steve's smile finally slipped, replaced by a look that was a perfect blend of resignation and "I'm paid minimum wage for this." He sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Of course, ma'am. One moment. He picked up the phone, and within seconds, Mr. Harrison, the store manager, a man whose soul had clearly been extracted and replaced with caffeine and customer service scripts years ago, ambled over, looking like he'd just been yanked from the abyss of inventory reports. Karen immediately pivoted, her fury now aimed squarely at Mr. Harrison. Finally, your employee here, she jabbed a finger in Steve's direction, is completely incompetent. He thinks a squished box of crackers is acceptable. He offered me another one as if that fixes the complete lack of standards. I demand an explanation, and frankly, I think he needs to be retrained. Poor Steve just stood there, looking at his feet, probably dreaming of a quiet life as a shepherd. But then, as Karen continued her tirade about the existential crisis of a slightly dented cracker box, something shifted. A tiny muscle in Steve's cheek twitched. A corner of his mouth started to lift. First, it was a subtle smirk. Then it widened, and before I knew it, he let out a tiny, involuntary puff of air that sounded suspiciously like a suppressed giggle. Karen paused, mid-sentence, her head whipping towards Steve. "Is something funny, young man?" she snarled. Steve instantly straightened, his face blank. "No, ma'am," he said too quickly, just contemplating the gravity of the situation. Karen scoffed, gave him one last withering glare, and then continued her monologue to Mr. Harrison. She went on for what felt like an eternity, detailing every perceived slight and demanding everything from a full refund to a personal apology from the cracker manufacturer. Finally, she ran out of breath, huffed, declared the entire experience appalling, and stormed out of the store, muttering about contacting corporate. Mr. Harrison, looking like he'd just wrestled a badger, let out a long, weary sigh. Steve gave a shaky, relieved laugh. Mr. Harrison then turned his gaze around the empty store, and his eyes landed on me. I'd been leaning against a shelf, a quiet observer, my phone discreetly in hand, mentally composing this very Reddit post. Actually, "Julian?" Mr. Harrison asked, a slight frown on his face. "Are you waiting for someone or just enjoying the show?" I smiled. "Just enjoying the show, Mr. Harrison. You guys put on quite the performance today." He let out a weak chuckle. "Tell me about it. You're here so often watching everything unfold. Sometimes I forget you're not actually on staff." It was a perfectly innocent exchange. Just a manager making a polite observation to a regular customer. But that's when it happened. Karen, apparently having forgotten her purse, burst back through the automatic doors. She froze, purse clutched in her hand, watching Mr. Harrison talk to me. Her eyes narrowed. What is going on here? She demanded, striding towards us like an avenging fury. You're talking to him? This man who's been standing around doing absolutely nothing while I've been suffering through this nightmare? Is he? Is he supervisor? Why wasn't he helping? Why is he just standing there talking to you when there's clearly a crisis? She pointed a finger at me, her face flushed crimson. And what exactly is your role in all this? Are you going to finally do something about this incompetent boy? She gestured wildly at Steve, who had gone pale again. I blinked. Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm just shopping. Her jaw dropped. You don't work here? Then why is the manager talking to you like you're some kind of executive? And why are you just loitering? This is a place of business, not some kind of spectator sport. Mr. Harrison stepped forward, his weary professionalism finally giving way to a hint of genuine annoyance. Ma'am, with all due respect, Julian is a customer, just like you. He's allowed to be in the store. He doesn't work here, nor does he need to do something about your crackers. Karen's face crumpled in disbelief, then hardened into pure rage. This is outrageous. You let customers just stand around doing nothing while your actual employees are failing, and then you talk to them like they're royalty? I am never shopping here again. And with that, she finally truly stormed out. The automatic doors swished shut behind her, leaving a pregnant silence. Steve, Mr. Harrison, and I looked at each other. Then, slowly, a shared grin spread across our faces. Steve let out a full-on belly laugh this time, and Mr. Harrison actually managed a genuine, unburdened chuckle. Some people, Julian, Mr. Harrison said, shaking his head. Some people. I just shrugged, gave them a wink, and started walking towards the exit. Well, Mr. Harrison, at least you gave me some great material for my next Reddit post. And that, my fellow Redditors, is how a simple trip for coffee turned into a hilarious, absolutely absurd encounter with a Karen who just couldn't believe a bystander was actually, a bystander. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hit me up in the comments.
Roll right into the next one. It's waiting for you.